when I was young, like second grade level young, I wanted to become president. I didn't want to become president because I wanted to do like great things for the world, like I don't know, solve world hunger. I low key just wanted to do it because one, I wanted to get rid of homework, and two, is because I wanted to become famous. Now, there are definitely better ways to become famous, like I don't know, becoming a YouTuber, or maybe just becoming an actor, or I don't know, some sort of celebrity. But there were definitely better ways to become popular, but I just wanted to become president because it sounded nice. Now, here's the thing though, I learned about presidents and stuff like that in what, second grade? But then during second grade, the first two presidents the teacher decided to teach us about after George Washington was Abraham Lincoln and JFK. And if you don't know about Abraham Lincoln and JFK, it's that those two were assassinated. So my second grade brain, I only knew three presidents at the time because that's what the teacher taught us. It was George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and JFK. Now that means that in my head, 66% of presidents were assassinated. So after I heard about those presidents, I'm like, you know what? I'm not becoming like a president anymore. I'll become like, I don't know, like a stereotypical doctor or something. But yeah, now why did I tell that story? Because just today morning I woke up and I thought about that story, and after I thought about that story, I decided to search up. You know what? Why do people want to become famous, man? Because yesterday, because if you don't know, I'm a Clash Royale YouTuber, and while I'm playing Clash Royale, I just talk about stuff, and I was like, you know what? Why do people want to become famous? So then I searched it up. I like searched up why do people want to become famous on YouTube, not on ChatGPT, because I am a source machine. Original sources. All right, so I searched it up, and the top sources I got were like people on Reddit and Quora like arguing to each other, arguing like going like, "Ah, you're wrong," or like people want to become famous like this, or my opinion is this, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just find an article or like blog or something instead. But I didn't really dig in too deep because I don't really want to like waste my time like searching. Where's my time searching for something like I have no idea about, or I don't know. I just didn't really want to like spend too much time on it. So I searched it up. I'm like, you know what? Let's do this, that, and so I found two articles. I found two articles out. Holy smokes! I choked on water. So I found and so I found two articles. The first article was a like I'm not sure if it's an interview, but I think they're just talking about some book. They're talking about some book written by psychology professor Mitch Prinstein, not Princeton, Prinstein, who wrote a book about popularity. And in that interview, he was talking about how there are two types of popularity. But before we get into those two types of popularities, I want to talk about like the fame stuff. So I watched like right before I got into the article, I found the YouTube short, and I know using YouTube Shorts for your like original source is a pretty bad idea. But then this one guy, I wanted to quote what he said. I have no idea what his name was. I just like clicked on YouTube short, and he said, "Fame used to be like a side reward, well, slash consequence, depending how you think about it. Fame used to be like a side reward slash consequence for your own successful works. Nowadays, people just want fame as like the main reward without doing any of the work needed to achieve it." So yeah, I thought that like kind of summed up the fame situation kind of well. And one thing before I talk about the two articles that I found, the two articles are pretty damn old, like not like 1900s old, but it's still decently old. It's still like 8 years old. So it might be different now. What I'm gonna say is probably a bit different now, but then I'm still gonna get into it. All right. So the first or first article had to do with the psychology professor Mitch Princeton, who wrote a book about like two types of popularity, and the two types of popularity were likability and status. And the way he put it was likability was if you went into like a kindergarten classroom or a room full of like 4-year-olds, and you said, "Who's your favorite person in here?" The person they said was their favorite person, or like earlier, the majority of people who said this one person was like their favorite person was the most likable. And I feel like whatever. Scratch what I just said. Oh my goodness. All right. But then yeah, he said the person who is likable is the most popular in that situation. It's because that person usually gives respect. They usually listen to others, and they usually like trying to help out others. Like they're a nice person is what I'm trying to say. And then the second type of popularity is something called status. And status is basically where, well, you first see these signs of status in middle school, because in middle school or adolescence, chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine start to flood in. And oxytocin basically just make you want to bond with other people, connect with them more. And was it dopamine makes you feel good, like if you do drug, like ooh, like you feel that something high. That is kind of like dopamine. That is like dopamine. That pleasure you feel for doing something good. So then he calls it like a neurochemical cocktail, I'm pretty sure. And then a combination of those two chemicals, makes a human being crave like any sort of attention. Now, he was talking about how the fastest way to get attention from others is through dominance, aggression, and power. And that was quote, dominance, aggression, and power. Yo, that's looking kind of a cool line. But yeah, and that's how status is formed. So it's kind of like the classic high school bully in the movie situation where some really big guy just goes up to some kids like, hey, little Gregory, I'm gonna beat you, and then starts flexing his muscles, and it's pretty cool. Yeah, that you can think of that is kind of like the status thing. Now, Professor Princeton was talking about how people seeking the status style of popularity was kind of like a monkey beating his chest. Now, that's kind of funny if we could do that. Like, if everything in life was decided by like how loud you beat your chest, like you could become the president of the United States could be the person who just like beats their chest the loudest, like, hey, Joe Biden, blah blah blah, Trump, blah 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 blah, and then you become the president. That'd be pretty awesome. And maybe wars could be like, who could beat their chest the loudest, and that's how like wars are solved. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, moving on, yeah. So then the article is basically talking about how the likability popularity was a good thing because it gives you lots of benefits in the future. People like you, and being a nice guy is a pretty good thing. And then they also talking about how status was a pretty damn bad thing because even though you're kind of like you want this, you feel good when you feel like dominant and you have this high status. It doesn't really work that way because apparently when you're around 14, that is when you start building your stable personality. So when you start when 14, your personality from 14 lasts like all the way until you're 40. So the habits you build at 14 affect you all the way to your 40. So if you're like at 14, you're like beating your chest like rah, 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 rah. Then all the way to 40, that's how likely that's how you'll start behaving. So then he was talking about how the dominant kind of thing, the status type of popularity, negatively affects you, and then he goes on like a page long or the article goes on like a page long rant about like how it negatively affects you. Like here's some examples. They're talking about you'll have a harder time finding love, harder time bonding with people, harder time finding good friendships, harder time getting a job, harder time, and it just like goes on and on and on. It's crazy, man. It's kind of funny. So what am I trying to say? Well, I guess if you want to be famous, just be a good person, I guess. Be likable. And then I also wanted to talk about, while I was researching, I low-key got like clickbaited. I searched up like why do people want to become famous, and then I got this like YouTube video about how the title was you want to be famous because you're traumatized, but then like the video was just like it was just a 30-minute movie summary, so it's kind of annoying. But yeah, that is what it is. And then the other article I wanted to talk about was this one article. It was this one article, and it was like kind of more a story than an actual article. And then actually no, they gave some stats in the article, so I'll give you the stats. And this was taken in 2007, so this was before social media was like really, really big as it is kind of now. It was still decently big, but now it's like kind of big. So it said, 2000 survey said, being famous was they did a poll for 18 to 25-year-olds, and they said being famous was a high priority. And not only that, but apparently 1 in 2 adults, not 1 in 2, but then apparently some people, 1 in 3 millennials, 1 in 3 millennials wanted to become famous, like just famous, like no catch, just famous, but and they were willing to sacrifice their job and relationships to become famous. Now that is kind of crazy. Like a third of people were willing to, or I think it's some of the millennials, but then either way, a decent amount of people were willing to like sacrifice their job and relationships just to become famous. Like that's it, just become famous. So I was like, man, that's kind of crazy. So I'll leave what you guys want to think about. I'll leave that to you guys, how you guys want to interpret that. But yeah. And the story I wanted to talk about was the author of this article was talking about how his publishers were arranging for him to be interviewed at the book fair. And he was talking about how, oh man, I was so nervous because I went there early in the morning because, I want to be like early, make sure I'm not late. And I went there and there was like a huge crowd of people outside. And I'm like, wow, I'm so excited. And then he went to his like venue, and then when the venue actually opened, apparently there were only 4 people at the venue, and only 2 of them were only 2 of them were actual people who were interested. The other 2 were literally just publishers. It would be low-key be kind of awkward to be those 2 people like just sitting right in front of him, because it'd be kind of awkward to leave, because like, if you leave, he'd just be like staring at you walk out, and you'd be like, oh no, it's not you, it's me, or whatever. But yeah. At the end of the day, he only got to sign 1 book. It wasn't like massive dream he had. He didn't get to sign like millions of books. But yeah, he said that the celebrity, there was like celebrity like right next to the venue. There were crowds of people like crowding to that venue, and he said he felt kind of insignificant. He said, let me read what he wrote. He said he made a hasty exit, and then I got in my car and sat for a while, feeling very insignificant. So then he felt like the author. He was like, man, I guess people don't really like me, So now I'll leave you guys to like interpret that story as you will, and I want to give my like kind of own thought, and my own thought won't take like 30 seconds to say. I think there's probably some research behind this, probably, or some articles behind this. I was just too lazy to like search it up. But I think people like really want to be noticed, or like have. What I'm trying to say is people want to have bonds, like even hamsters. I read somewhere that if you just like buy 1 hamster, then that 1 hamster will probably like die of depression or something because it's so lonely. Humans are also like really societal creatures. Like if you just have 1 person alone, I don't know, maybe like being alone on an island would be like an introvert's dream. But then like most people, even no matter how like introverted you may be, usually like you need to like have some sort of relationship or like connection with other people, because that is how like I guess humans function. We're societal people. We used to be in groups. We used to be like hunt in groups. We used to live in villages all together. So I guess we really like crave like we crave attention, and we crave to be with other people. So yeah, that's my thought, and that I know this isn't the normal like Clash Royale video, but then yeah, that was my thoughts on fame.